My girl likes to party all the time.
Hello, welcome to episode 81 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name's John Denton. With me as always, Chet Roivas.
Get us a cup of tea, would you, Errol?
You know the deal, 2 top 10 lists going from 10 to 1, 10 being the game we played the least, 1 being the game we played the most. Let's do this thing, Chet.
Okay, right, my number 10 is a game called Quizpics on the iPhone, also available on other iOS devices. Have you talked about this game before, Quizpics?
No, but I'm already disappointed because I thought you said Quizpigs.
No, unfortunately, it's Quizpics. I just downloaded it because it was one of those free app a day things. I have a feeling it's permanently free. I might be wrong. It's a picture comes up. It functions very much like draw something. There's a certain number of letters at the bottom, and you just sort of make a word out of them. The subjects are brands, phrases, and bands, but they're all locked. You have to do brands first. I got the first one, and then the second one I couldn't figure out. It was a load of peas next to a small wigwam with the letters Z and A on the roof, and I just couldn't get it. I was like, I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't know what brand that could be. And then it said, you can't progress now. Buy coins or get out. So I was like, okay. I mean, normally there's other ways to go around it, like try a different category or something, but it's like, answer this puzzle or you can't play the game. It was the second puzzle. It was I'd been playing it for less than a minute, although the first minute was primarily me looking at a picture of a man whose head was a book and just shouting head book at it until I realised it was Facebook. I mean, I did that for about 60 seconds. So yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
So you don't know what the answer to that other one is with the peas?
No idea. It's the second
So what
question.
was it?
It was peas in a pod next to a small, it looked like a wigwam, and there was like a sign on the top that was Z and A, and it's supposed to be a brand.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no idea. But anyway, the fact that that's a brick wall straight away after 90 seconds probably in total playing it, it's like buy coins or piss off. So I pissed right off. Quizpics, don't bother.
Quizpigs. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. My number 10, I won't even talk about it. Well, I will talk about it, but I won't talk about playing it. It's Spelunky. Technically, it's way higher. I've just been playing it loads, but I'll stick it at 10 just because fuck the rules. But isn't it interesting how this has become like the game of games journalists? Do you know what I mean? It seems to be you can't go on a major website, you can't go on many games journalists Twitter's them talking about this game, making videos about this game, doing the daily challenges, which aren't on the Vita version, unfortunately. It's just PC only on that. Or actually, it might just be Xbox only, or maybe Xbox and PC. Brilliant, well done, John. But they're not on the Vita version. It's sort of, I can see why it manages to, like, first off, it's really good. I mean, I've talked about it before. It's a brilliant game, so that's why. But also, it has that kind of indie cred, which is cool. It has that kind of old school sensibility, which appeals to people of our age, which a lot of games journalists are as well. It has the kind of emergent stuff that makes for good videos. I can see why it's happened. But yeah, it seems to be a game that just keeps on going and going.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I still need to play it, really. Much as I wish I had 1,200 points to buy the Xbox version, because I'd rather not play the Flash one. Don't
play the Flash one.
So it kind of like Dark Souls was last year.
Yeah, which is they're not dissimilar in that they're very hard and there's permanent death. I know there's not permanent death in Dark Souls, but it has its own take on death. They are actually very similar games in terms of what they're trying to achieve in some ways.
Okay, well, I can't believe I haven't played it yet, so maybe one day. Okay, well, my number 9 is a game called SuPeCa. Here's how you spell it: SuPeCa. I assume it's supposed to be SuPeCa. It's an Xbox Live indie game, and it's a very, very simple, and it's not bad. It's just the level design becomes really monotonous. It's a driving game where you drive from left to right, and the actual game itself involves having to move. Each car has retractable wheels, and they're on metal poles. So basically, you retract and you have this car on wheels, basically, so you can raise the car to get over.
The car on wheels.
Sorry, a car. It's like a car. It's like a car on wheels, but there's stilts between the car and the wheels. So you raise the car up. It's like a Mr. Gadget, Inspector Gadget car.
Mr. Gadget car.
It's like an Inspector Gadget car. So you raise it to get over vehicles, and then you retract them when there's like a high ledge, and you'll basically do a jump, but you're not jumping, you're just retracting the wheels quickly. So it's actually quite a sort of tight little system. But part of the game is that you have to maintain your speed, because every time you sort of land hard, so every time you go for a jump, you prolong the wheels down and then cushion your landing. Anyway, you have to try and maintain your speed. You lose speed when you bump into stuff. The menus are really confusing. You pick one of 3 cars, and then it comes up with 3 chess pieces. It's like rook, pawn, or knight. And I was like, I don't know what this means. It turns out they're basically like Mario Kart, mushroom cup, flower cup.
Okay.
Different levels. It's perfectly passable for a few minutes, but the level design is so monotonous that it's like they came up with this fairly cool car system. I'm like, okay, that's quite cool, but they just forgot about everything else. So you're just driving from left to right. There's a couple of really hard bits. Blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't recommend playing it. It's fun for about 10 minutes. I played it for about 25, and kind of wish I hadn't. So yeah, SuPeCa, it's nice. Don't bother.
Mr. Gadget.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
My number 9 is Superhot, the PC shooter that I said I'd go back to and forgot to last week, but I did go back to today. And it is really good, isn't it? I'm sure a lot more people have played it now. If you've not, just Google Superhot. And amazingly, it is actually the first thing on Google. Everything below that is something else which you can click on or not, depending on what sort of mood you're in. But anyway, this is the game. It's the first-person shooter where time only moves when you move. In fact, that's not quite true, because I was watching it closely, and times I was moving incredibly slowly if you don't move. But basically, we talked about this before. If you shoot, you have to then move for the bullets to move and all that sort of stuff. So it becomes halfway between a shooter and a puzzler. Really cool visual style, red enemies. Every time you complete a level, it goes super hot, super hot. Considering they made it in a game jam in 7 days or something like that, as we said, it's very cool. There's no reason not to play it. It works in a browser. If you've got a PC that can handle Unity on your browser, then do it.
Also Mac. I played it on a Mac.
Yeah, sorry, I actually played it on a Mac.
I think the URL is literally superhotgame.com. And yeah, go and play it. Hopefully they sort of turn that into something really exciting when they develop it, which I believe they're doing now. So
yeah, definitely.
It's good shit. My number 8 is far from good shit. It is the iFruit app on the iPad, which is the Grand Theft Auto 5 tie-in, which you mentioned briefly last week.
Yes.
It enables you to do a couple of things like personalised number plates in the game, which I think is not working at the moment or something.
It has personalised mine, but on all 3 of my cars, which is weird.
Okay. Basically, you can do that. But what it is the dog mini game. So the dog, if you look after the dog in the game, it will behave better and do tricks and stuff. It's a Tamagotchi. I didn't realise, but after I put this to bed permanently, never to go back to, I got a ping going, don't feed the dog, he's thirsty. I was like, piss off. I deleted it right off my iPad. The mini games are really simple. You draw it's not even worth talking about. It is really, really rubbish. Visually simplistic, and not in a stylised way, in a kind of it was farmed out to the lowest bidder kind of way.
Like I said last week, I do not understand why they did it.
Yeah, I'd have just fucking pretend it never happened. And it's Rockstar, seeing as they're so fucking picky about absolutely everything that has their name on it. For this to be a Rockstar, or to appear to be a Rockstar product, is very fucking odd. That you draw a line, and the dog goes on a walk, and it scares other dogs off the girl, or you're on a beach and you run and tear bikinis off women. I mean, it's so rubbish. I saw a guy on Twitter saying, "Oh God, Rockstar, they're fucking stitching up people who don't have a smartphone. We're missing out." No, you're not, mate. It's fucking rubbish. iFruit, piss.
I don't disagree. I didn't realise that you had to go and tear women's bikinis off.
It's just the minigames are identical. You draw lines, chop ones there, and in one of them there's just women walking around in circles on a beach. I mean, it's properly crap.
Chop. Right. My number 8 is bizarrely an ancient game. It's Geometry Wars 2 on Xbox 360. I was going through my machine today, deleting some stuff off the hard drive, so I only had a little bit of space left. And I stumbled across this and I thought, shit, I haven't played this for years. And in actual fact, I heard somebody on one podcast I was listening to this week mentioning that there would be a really cool game for Oculus Rift, not even to move around or to have any of the head tracking, just to be in it, just because it would be so amazing to kind of just be in that. I haven't put an Oculus Rift on. I hope to tomorrow, in fact, at Eurogamer. But I can see where they're coming from. It still looks fucking great, even though it's old, just because of the style and how sharp it is. And obviously, it still plays brilliantly. I was never the best. I'm never the best. It's quite depressing when it comes to leaderboards, but it's still one of the, it's almost faultless as a video game. And it's a shame that we'll never see another one.
Why not?
Because Bizarre no longer exists.
But someone will buy the IP and maybe.
Well, maybe. But.
Yeah, that's a shame. I loved the first one, but the second one was an absolute knockout. I love the second one. Just so many modes, so much great stuff for a download game. You didn't download it. I mean, you didn't delete it, did you? That's like
no. I know. I was just going through A to Z. Oh, nearly knocked my coffee over. All fine. Okay. Going through A to Z, and just stumbled across it.
All right. Okay.
And that's all-time keeper.
No doubt. All-time keeps. All right. Well, my number 7 is Grand Theft Auto 3 on iOS.
My number 7 is Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and I was going to do the same, like, does he mean Grand Theft Auto 5 joke that you just did? But
did I do that?
Well, only a little bit.
Well, I just read out the title, and you made assumptions. Anyway, look, when you put on the iFruit app, one of the options is it's a Grand Theft Auto 3 logo, and I was like, oh, all right. I tapped it, and it opened up the iOS version of Grand Theft Auto 3. So I played it for a little while. It's still a great port. I know some people had problems with the controls, but I think it's about as good as an iOS port can get, and the game is still fun. I did a couple of missions. The only problem is that to compare it to the old version is to compare playing it to on a fuck. It can never compare to being on a control pad. No. So it always just feels like, why, if I really want to play this, why don't I just get hold of another version of it where I have a pad? Playing those two missions reminded me of a few things, like how much I love adaptable waypoints, which they first appeared in Grand Theft Auto 4, and it does still feel quite. You still get a sense of how much of you still feel that it was a seismic game, and everything changed afterwards. It still feels like you still get a sense of how influential it was. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting for 20 minutes or so, but if I want to play it again, there'll be a HD remake somewhere down the line. I'm sure. Yeah.
My number 7 is GTA Vice City for almost exactly the same reason. I didn't get to it through the iFruit app. I just noticed I went on the Apple Store, and this was number 2 in paid apps. So that just shows how big GTA 5 is, that it's spiked sales of this one as well. And I bought it, played it for a bit. It's still nice to drive down South Beach, whatever the fuck they call it in that game, listen to the old tunes. It looks nice on the phone. The controls like you say, they are what they are. They're not too bad, but I couldn't imagine doing the game's harder missions with them. That would be a nightmare. And some of the old gameplay in the old GTAs, the shooting in particular, is fucking shit. But they're very old now.
They are.
But it's $2.99. Yeah, I don't mind paying $2.99 to have that on my phone.
I got Grand Theft Auto 3 for 69p and 69p for Chinatown Wars as well. Which
that is good.
That's a better port for iOS. It's a better fit because it came from 3DS, so it's 2DS, 1DS, Nintendo DS.
DS countdown.
Yeah, I might have to play Chinatown Wars again because that was a better fit. Okay, my number 6 is a game called Rock Band Blitz on the Xbox 360. I won't talk about it. I've been playing a lot of it with my girlfriend. She's started to get better at me because she's taken on different techniques that I can't get my head around, and she's starting to just give me grief, as I've said. It's really quite sad because every week, if you follow the Rock Band Twitter feed, they say, here's a new blog post indicating what sort of, every week new songs are removed from the store because the licensing runs out. I get one of those things. I see one of those messages every week, and it's sad, man. It's like day by day, little by little, the Rock Band network is slowly shutting up shop.
You still have them though. If you downloaded them, they're yours.
Yeah, of course. Okay. But it's just the process of them shutting up shop. So I've bought so much stuff there. I used to browse there just for a laugh. It's a shame. I finally found a sealed copy of Rock Band Green Day. I've been looking for one for months because there's a code inside it, and then you pay a bit extra, and then you can import all those songs. So it's more songs for Rock Band Blitz. It's on its way. It's in the post. There's some enterprising genius on eBay has got a load on there. But they're £40 a pop, and I'm not quite that desperate. People have bought them. You can see how many people have bought them. But I found a guy on eBay who sold it to me for £15, sealed. So I'm laughing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Rock Band Blitz, may it never die.
Indeed.
All right, another music game for me, a game I talked about last week, Project Rap. on Xbox 360, playing the full version this time. Unfortunately, the full version isn't actually that much more than the trial. It is a very clever game with a lot of potential, but quite simply, there just aren't enough tunes. You basically can play... if you didn't listen last week, it is a game where you'll pick a little cartoon wrapper, and then a line will come up at the top of the screen, and you'll have a bunch of options. At the bottom of the screen, you can drag a cursor over them, they're words, and pick it, and that will finish the line. Then another line will come up, and then you have to quickly find one that rhymes. There's normally multiple choices, and you can end up making something quite funny. And then the next line will come up, and it doesn't have to rhyme. And, it's a very, very basic rap structure. But the game does work, and when you start to actually get into a flow, it is quite funny. I did another freestyle as one of the modes where you do that, and I did that again, and I started to get the hang of the game. I was like, this is good. And played a rap battle with the computer, which was a different song, and then I kind of realised there weren't really any other tunes on there, so it feels almost like a kind of proof of concept rather than a finished game. Now it is only 69p, and there's multiplayer, and you can create your own raps on it as well. I say create your own raps. They'll still give you the first line, but then you can actually build it to exactly what you want rather than just trying to spam it. That's not as fun, but it's there if you want it. There's potential if they could get like 30 tunes in there, and they don't have to be particularly complicated, just basic beats and basic lines. The good part of the game is finding funny things to end your raps with, to end your lines with, and funny punchlines. And when you manage to get that flowing quickly, you do end up spamming some shit, and it is quite funny. So I hope that somehow the game could expand in a sequel or something like that. And there just needs loads more tunes.
Okay, well, but you do think it's worth the asking price at the moment?
No, I don't know. I mean, 69p isn't very much, but no, what I'd say, go and check out the trial, because I didn't get much more out of playing the final version than I did on the trial, really.
Okay, my girlfriend played the trial the other day, and she was laughing her bloody head off. So
yeah, I mean, it genuinely is funny. That's why I was just a bit disappointed when I was like, oh, okay, fair play for making something that is a really cool idea and works, and it does work. Just want more now.
It's the problem with Xbox Live Indie. It's either too little or too much.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my number 5 is Battlefield 3. It's probably my number 1 or something, or my number 2, whatever. We're all of my friends are back into playing it because we're all excited for 4, and not many of them like Grand Theft Auto. We've noticed that almost everybody, ever since Premium came out, and you could buy Battlefield Premium, which, if you don't know, involves giving you all of the content, all of the extra map packs. Almost everyone you see playing Battlefield 3 has always had Premium, and yet we can't find servers using the newest maps, the aftermath maps, and the endgame maps. It's just impossible. When you play those maps, the game's really exciting. It's like giving it a shot in the arm, and it's like a new game. And I don't know why people aren't playing them, but who cares? Battlefield 4 is coming next week for beta, and then a month away or 2 months or sometime, Battlefield 4, who cares? Battlefield 3 is dead. See you later.
Yeah. Battlefield. I'm completely done with Battlefield until 4 comes out.
Okay, well, you're gonna play the beta next week, though, right?
I guess so, but I kind of want to leave the whole thing until I play it on next gen.
It'd be interesting to see the difference, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I'll end up playing it because it's good to talk about, if nothing else, and I'm sure it'll be fun.
What a chore.
Yeah, I sound like what a spoiled little brat I sound like. Yeah, what a dickhead.
No, not really. I know what you mean, but it's just, why the hell wouldn't you just be like counting the seconds till Bats 4? You got a problem?
I don't know. I just think I'm a bit sleepy. Did you know though? Hold on. No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say all credit due to me. I called it so long ago on this very podcast that Battlefield 4 would be gold. And everywhere in all the marketing material, it's gold as fuck. And I said that before the very first image came out. I said that shit.
Isn't it blue?
It's blue, but it's mainly gold. It's gold as fuck. Battlefield 4, GAF.
I think it's probably 40 gold, 40 blue, and then a little bit of sort of, other shit in the middle. Probably fire colour. That's gold. Never mind. Carry on.
Hey, that's 60 gold. Maths. Right, my number 5 Game of the Year candidate here is Girl Fight on Xbox 360. I'd noticed it on Xbox Live Arcade, and I was like, what the hell's this? The front cover was a couple of girls in pants. You couldn't see their faces. girl fight. I'm assuming it wasn't a movie time with that boxing movie from years ago, so it wasn't. It's actually just a 3D one-on-one fighting game starring sexy girls that have been drawn really crudely. Not Xbox Live indie game crudely, but not a grand deal better than that either. In the trial, you get to pick between one girl who's like an MMA fighter, another girl who's like a kung fu type girl. The MMA fighters dress reasonably. The kung fu girl's got like suspenders on. It's pretty embarrassing. But then when I started playing it, I was like, actually, this isn't actually that bad. As a fighter, it's not as good as the good fighters by any stretch of the imagination, but it really isn't that bad. Like, you can string together combos. It has dashing in and out and in and out of the screen as well, and you can kind of sidestep moves. It has like a nice slow motion thing as you finish someone off. It's not the worst fighting game I've ever played. It's just the whole thing's really crass and embarrassing. But it's actually not that bad. But then when it finishes, you get like a message at the end, like you do on trials, and it's like there's like 8 more sexy girls to unlock. Who's gonna finish first? And it's like, Jesus Christ, what is this? Why have you made it? Maybe that's what, I don't know. It felt like something of about 1996.
Who did make it?
I don't know. Best person to, let me check. I'll come back to you on that one.
What, literally right now?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
It is. It's also a very blue game. While we're talking about colours, one of the bluest games of the year.
Characters blue?
Everything's blue. The box is blue. The arena is blue. Oh, one thing that's really annoying about it is has like a, in Street Fighter when you do stuff, there's the voiceover. The guy just like, I can't even remember what he says, but he just says awesome things when you're playing Street Fighter.
The guy who calls out what round it is?
He's like an announcer.
Oh, right, but he doesn't say anything particularly exciting.
No, I know, but he just kind of says stuff. But they have someone who says stuff in this, like a sexy girl robot voice, but she's louder than everything else in the game, and it's incredibly irritating. Heavy games. Oh no, that's not it. Oh, fuck it.
So this is actually on arcade, not
yeah, indie. It's not an expert game.
Oh.
It looks like it's had a fair bit of money put into it, relatively speaking. It's just not very good, unsurprisingly.
Okay, well, that's a real damn shame. I won't even bother looking at it.
It's Microprose.
Microprose?
Yeah.
What the hell's that?
That's who make it, as in the people who used to make games back in the day. Microprose Soccer and all that, back in the olden days.
I've lost this conversation. I thought you said it was made by Heavy Games.
No, then I realised that was something else.
Okay, this conversation's gone to absolute shit.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, my number 4 is a game called Foul Play on the Xbox 360. It's also available on, I think, PSN and PC, but it's an arcade game on 360. It's a solidly good scrolling beat-em-up for 2 players, online or off, co-op. And it kind of falls into some of the same traps as so many arcade games have in the last couple of years. It's primarily, the problem is that the game is inherently repetitive, and yet it's really long. They've strung it out to there's 5 acts, and most of them there's 5 plays, and in them most of them have 5 acts apart from the last one. I think it's way too much content for something that's so repetitive. And I've seen so many arcade games do that recently. It's kind of frustrating. But anyway, it's scrolling beat 'em up. It's got a really, really nice conceit. You're supposed to be this sort of adventurer, sort of an aging Indiana Jones type, and you come on stage and it's supposed to be a play, and there's an audience in front of you, and you're giving the story of some of your adventures. And there's loads of jokes. There's people changing stuff behind the scenes and the sets change. There's so many jokes about the fact that it's a play, and I was like, this is really, really charming straight away. That is maintained throughout almost the whole of the game, but it just becomes repetitive too quickly. It's a very simple. I think I spoke about it last week, didn't I? The trial.
You did, yeah.
There's a light and a heavy attack, and there's a very, very... It's basically the Arkham City, Arkham Asylum combat, but in 2D and side-scrolling, and it's really, really accessible, and it's really entertaining, and you can do sort of 2 ways. If you parry the same enemy at the same time, you fly up into the air and do these combos and stuff. It's one of the most accessible beat-em-ups of all time, because it looks like it's complicated, but it isn't. It's incredibly charming, like I said. There's a lot of systems that don't need to be there. So after a while, you get these charms that you can equip, and they're basically perks, and you have to unlock a load of them, and it's hurling all of this needless content at you. It could have been, I think it's 1,200. No, it doesn't even exist anymore. Was 1,200 Microsoft points about $9.99, right?
Yeah.
So it's about £10, and it would be so much better if it was half that price and half that content, or even less than half that content, because it's just too much. I did it on co-op with my girlfriend, and we were really enjoying it. But after a while, you just like it can't be sustained by just the humour, as good as that is. Another problem with it is that because you move forward whenever you attack, a lot of combat, I'd say almost as much as 50% of combat takes place at the sidelines of the screen where you can't really see it.
Okay.
So you're endlessly lunging forward, and you just end up beating all of the enemies into a corner. And there's loads of them and enemies, and just it's really satisfying because you can get combos up to 100 and up to 200 and stuff, and that's really satisfying because the window's quite slim. So if you finish an enemy on like 20 or whatever, you only have probably less than 2 seconds, maybe even less than a second to sort of carry on your combo. I don't know, it's a real shame. I'd say it's like a solid 6 out of 10 game. It's too polished and lovely to be, it's hard to dislike. But when it goes on and on and on and on, and it's the same thing, and they just keep throwing the same enemies at you, and it's just like, why wasn't this half the length? Shorten every level to half the length, and then it's just like a bang, bang, bang. And then if you want to replay it, you can, because there's different difficulty settings. You can equip different charms and stuff, and you can change the game for yourself. But making it this not quite epic, but broad game that's so at the same time narrow in terms of the gameplay, it's kind of just like a missed opportunity. I mean, I liked it, but yeah, I checked also. I don't think it's gone down particularly well. I don't think arcade games recently have been doing that brilliantly. Because after we did the first level, I went and checked the leaderboards, and we didn't do very well at the beginning. But we were. Oh, sorry, no. I checked the entire number. Whatever we were on the leaderboard, whatever. I checked how many entries there were on the leaderboard, and there was only 329.
Oh, right.
I was like, wow, that's low. I mean, it's only came out last week, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, foul play. I think if it was half price, I'd still recommend it. But I just wish it was half the game, really.
Yeah. But it is that classic problem, isn't it? That so many people fall foul of just sticking too much content in the game, but not making that content interesting.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, too much. I was like, if I want to redo this, give me the opportunity to play it again. Not trying to make this. Yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah. I do. It's one of the kills games for me. That absolutely kills me.
Yeah, me too.
My number 4 is a game called Marlowe, Briggs and the Mask of Death, I think's the subtitle to it. I'd suddenly heard people talking about this in the last couple of days, and I didn't know what they were talking about. By the sound of it, I just assumed it was a point-and-click game because it just sounded like one. But then I noticed it on arcade, and it's not. It's a really fucking dumbass action game, which is obviously going to appeal to me at a base level. Marlowe Briggs, for all intents and purposes, is The Rock / Michael Jai White / Vin Diesel / whoever. Massive dude, ridiculously big hands, unfeasibly big hands, blue shirt. He is visiting his girlfriend, who is an archaeologist. The game starts with them interacting with this like evil, I think he must be Chinese, dictator, for want of a better word, who seems to be running the mines. It's a very similar character to Christopher Walken in Welcome to the Jungle, but Chinese. It's very similar to Welcome to the Jungle, the setup anyway. The Chinese guy gets angry and just fucking Marlowe Briggs gets defensive, and then they stab him with a giant huge scythe, like a what's that game? Darksiders, like a Darksiders scythe. Okay. He comes, fucking mask comes from, they put him to burn him to death or whatever, and there's also a mask there. The mask flies in the air and lands on his face. He comes back to life, and then the game starts. Fine. I've got no problem with any of that. And then the game is just basically a God of War clone with some Uncharted clambering, and also a real Uncharted eye for the cinematic, but with about 1/1000th of the budget. But to be fair to it, it fucking tries. It kind of reminds me of a Techland game in that way, in that they've gone, look, we don't have all the money in the world, but we're going to try our best. We're going to cut out all the bollocks. It's just, look, here's some guys to hit. We're going to make the guy hitting as fun as we can. Here's a fucking helicopter flying through and a rope to jump up and an explosion. We're going to do that as best as we can. Where it doesn't look so good, we'll hide it with a cut, or they do a lot of like quick cuts to cut to different angles, so it kind of hides how cheap some of it looks. And it was absolutely fine. I enjoyed what I played. I can't see me again. This is such a tough time of the year for a game like Marlowe Briggs, because it seems like it was going to be a game that's going to take at least 4 or 5 hours to get through, if not longer. And I don't know how well it would sustain that. Again, this is a situation. Everybody knows what we've been playing this week, so this is only my thoughts on the trial, and whether or not to invest after that. For a tenner, it's cool. If it had come out in, I was going to say May, but May was quite busy as well. If it come out maybe in July, when there was genuinely nothing, it was charming enough in the dumbass way that I like, and solid enough that I might have actually dropped the dollar on it just to see if it managed to kind of expand on any of its ideas, because it's a very derivative game fundamentally, but it makes no bones about that. It's happy to be that, but it certainly has some kind of flair to it for what it is. In the olden days, it would have been a box game. The production values are of a level where it's still quite surprising for arcade.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, that's. I've heard people talking about it as well, and I assumed it was something on the PC also. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, I'll check. I'll definitely check the trial, because I like stupid shit as much. As
it definitely is that. It's just tough. It's like at the end of the generation, the same week as GTA and PES, the week before FIFA. Who's got time for Marlowe Briggs?
True that. All right. Well, I'll play it at some point.
Yeah.
Because we should have time for Marlowe Briggs, surely.
We should.
Okay. All right. Well, my number 3 is Pro Evolution Soccer 2014 on the Xbox 360.
Me too.
Your number 3, yeah.
I've got a sneaky suspicion our top 3 might be the same. So
right, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. It's. I can't believe the online.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
It's only on Xbox.
Oh, it's not happening on PS3?
No, they're both... Basically, let's explain what happened real quick. You start the game, the retail version, you needed to download a patch, as you normally do for these sorts of things. A normal Xbox patch takes like 1 second. And then once you go in there, you had to download a data pack. I'm not too sure what's in it, but they were in the last few Provos as well. But it doesn't work on Xbox. It takes forever to download, and I mean forever, and then it just corrupts and doesn't work. This means you cannot play online, which is a fucking joke, quite frankly. Konami are blaming Microsoft. Microsoft haven't said anything about it. I know it does work on PS3 and PC with no hitches whatsoever, so I don't know what the hell's going on, but I do know it hasn't been fixed, and I've been trying every day. And as much as I love the game, I'm bored of playing against a computer now. I don't have any real humans to play down here, so I just want to play online, and it's frustrating. There is a community fix. You can download the file to a USB and stick it on your Xbox that way. There are tutorials out there. If you Google how to do that, if you really are getting frustrated, you can do that, but I've got a feeling that might end up screwing up something else down the road, so I'm just waiting for it to fix itself.
That's what I'm worried about, yeah. It is ludicrous that it's still a week on and it's still not working. I mean, I've wasted 4 hours because I'm so eager to play it online. Re-downloading that. I mean, it takes an hour, more than an hour. I'd say it's probably about 90 minutes each time. And at the end, it just says, "Yeah, sorry, this is broken. Download it again." I mean, it's ludicrous that it's still happening. I think I tried it. I tried last night and I tried it earlier today. It doesn't work. The best. One of the best things you can say about Provo is that, as someone who doesn't like football and someone who doesn't like and doesn't understand the process of playing football games or any competitive multiplayer game against AI, don't get it. I've been playing Provo against playing Master League mode, which is more than I've ever done in any football game. I think, but there have been some FIFAs where I've played against AI, but it goes to show how good it is, because I'm so eager to play it that if I can't get the online working, I just jump into something else. But the fact that it's funny that EA have stepped away from online passes, and PES 2014 has an online pass. Yeah. So if you buy it secondhand, you have to pay for the online. if someone's gone through that transaction, and it could have happened, someone could have part X'd it on Monday, and then someone's picked it up yesterday, and they buy an online pass. Oh dear, because you've just bought absolutely fucking nothing. And you're in trouble if you're only buying it to tread water until FIFA comes out. But yeah, I mean, it's ludicrous. It's Konami again, just kicking people in the fucking balls who are trying to pick them up. I don't know. It's just mad. It's fucking mental.
It's so frustrating because, you know, we talked for weeks, well, especially the last 2 weeks, passionately about this game, and I've reviewed it on Video Gamer, I've talked about it on Twitter, I've talked about it to anybody who'll listen, and exactly like you say, it's just like all they needed to do is have the fucker work, and it's hard. How can I recommend that now? If someone asked me tomorrow, should I get Pro Evo if I bump into someone at Eurogamer, and I'm like, well, do you know what? Do you want to play online? Because I can't tell you when it's going to work online.
Yeah.
You know, it may work tomorrow. By the time this podcast comes out, it may already be working, but it may not work for another month. There's no word, and I can't recommend that to someone who wants to play online.
I know. What also pisses me off is that it's never part of the 360. So, for example, you can't download it from the dashboard. Which would mean that if you started downloading it and your Xbox shuts off halfway through, which it did to me, you could turn it back on and then resume from where you finished downloading it. But you have to do it from in the game, and my Xbox turned off halfway through, and that's another. I mean, it's fucking ludicrous, Konami, you fucking idiots.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It needs to be sorted out. But I have had some great games against the computer.
So have I, which is not a first, but definitely unusual.
Yeah, that was both our threes, wasn't it?
Yeah, so what's your number 2?
FIFA Soccer.
My number 2 is also FIFA Soccer 14.
Right, let's get into it.
Go on then.
So I actually technically played this quite a long time ago, but I did catch up and play some more this week to refresh myself. Yeah, it's very good. I said before that it's very similar to 13, and I do maintain that point of view. Chatting to David when we were on Joypod. What's wrong with my mouth? I said Joypad again. Joypod. He maintained it was actually very, very different. Now Dave has played, I would assume, hundreds of hours of FIFA 13, at least 100, where I probably played about 20. So if he says that and he's played that much, then I'm going to assume that other people who've played FIFA all year will notice far more differences than me. So I'm not going to start trying to put my foot down and go, no, I'm right. However, to me, as someone who played a decent amount and has played, probably 20 plus hours on 14 as well now, it does feel very, very similar, but I'd say better in every way, specifically the shooting and the dribbling as well, like just the standard moving the guy around who's got the ball. It does kind of feel like this is as far as this engine can go on this generation of technology, which is fine, obviously, because the new one is going to be out in a matter of 8 weeks on the new technology. A very fun game. It still doesn't feel as much like football as Pro Evolution Soccer does to me, and it never really creates moments of magic that I can remember and kind of give me that same feeling as watching amazing moments in real football. But as a game, as something to play, and it's very fun. It's very satisfying the way everything works, the way passing the ball around works, and just it's a very kind of tactile, satisfying game, and it has been for ages. And it's probably the best it's been. I just can't get excited about FIFA as I can about Pro Evo. It doesn't fucking kick me in the heart like Pro Evo does. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that fucking feeling. I just don't get it with FIFA. I like it. I have fun. If I was to play someone else, I'd have a great time. I could probably play it for hours, but it just doesn't do it for me. But then again, I've been playing debug version, so I haven't been able to play online, and I know that's where the real action does come in, really. So I don't know about you. What do you think?
I've been playing it solidly for the last 24 hours, the final build, and I still think what I thought last year, it's so close, and regardless of which football game you buy, you've won either way. I think both games are better than they were last year, and I think the gap's actually closer. So I think FIFA 14 is... I like it almost as much as Pro Evo this year. I didn't expect to feel that way, but after playing it solidly, I really... they are very different, but it's not as... the last couple of FIFAs have been deliberately galvanising with like some big... always, tactical defending. There's always been something big that they've announced alongside the new game. And this is not that. You can tell we're at the end of a hardware cycle because some people might say that the series is treading water because there's no shock of the new. There's nothing that's going to surprise anybody. But yeah, I think it is pretty much better in every way. Have you read about the fact that they're going to patch it? Or there was stuff on Eurogamer today that the fans have just been in uproar about some of the how easy it is to score off corners and off long shots, and how powerful the finesse shots are, stuff like that.
Yeah, I did notice the finesse shot certainly during my time with it, less so with the headers, but I think I was playing a more direct game through the middle anyway, most of the time. But yeah, definitely noticed that the finesse shots seem to go in almost all the time. They're very accurate.
Yeah, I know. I only started to notice that because I wasn't really using finesse shots because I didn't really, it takes me a while to sort of take in all the information. But as I started to use that, particularly online, it just suddenly felt way too easy. It felt accessible. I was like, oh, this is immediately, but you don't. It takes all the pleasure out of it because I would just run into a ridiculous position and finesse shot, and I scored some stupid goals. I know. Hopefully, I've recorded some of them. I might put them on YouTube, but. Yeah, you can tell why the fans are upset because it did. I mean, and for me, genuinely, it just made the game unenjoyable completely because a couple of games were complete goal fests. It's not revolutionary. It's not loud about anything it's touting. It is sort of it's a quiet game for a FIFA. It's less brash as well. There's not the big. There's a Patrick Stewart narrated intro with music that sounds like it belongs in Pirates of the Caribbean or something, which is standard. But by and large, it's less bombastic than the other ones. It's just kind of there's something quiet about it, which just seems weird for like one of the biggest games of the year. Tell me this. I don't understand this. I will never understand it. People have tried to explain it to me, and I don't get it. When I turn on a new FIFA game, it remembers what controls I had in the last game. It remembers what difficulty I was on. It remembers how I played, what team I liked, what players I liked, and all that stuff. It's got records of all of my FIFA history. Why does it never remember what country I'm from?
I don't know.
But it's not just when you turn it on for the first time. Every time you turn on FIFA, a flag comes up. Go and pick your country. It's like, well, I don't understand. I mean,
it's bizarre.
It is quite weird. But yeah, it's not as big and sort of shouty as the other ones. The only thing that's being touted as not revolutionary but brand new is the protect the ball system, which just means you can hold down one of the triggers and you shield the ball. So if you can let a ball run out for a goal kick, which is really nice because I did that a couple of times. It was really satisfying. But when you do that motion, I think it's left trigger. Or was it left bumper? One of the two.
I'm pretty sure it's left trigger.
You lock in this kind of awkward stance. So if your players don't rush in to help you in your sort of midfield, because players don't tend to move off their markers so much in this one, they tend to sort of stay where they're supposed to. If I wanted a player to run into to sort of make a run, I'd have to do it myself. I found it happening less often than it did in previous FIFA games. I hadn't noticed any of this stuff about player-specific movement. Apparently, some players, their abilities in real life. Did you notice any of that stuff? Like the star players?
Yeah, like Messi and Ronaldo have their own animations, but that's something that still Pez is way ahead in and has been for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't really notice that. I mean, the presentation's crisp and clean, and it's really nice. I mean, the menus are uncluttered. It kind of looks like Windows 8, those sort of panels.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed my time playing it. And Ultimate Team is still just the most sickeningly genius idea. And the fact that the whole thing, the only thing that could potentially be wrong with Ultimate Team is if it was all offline, and it's not. You can do entire tournaments online, and it's a genius mode that every time I play it, I'm just like, I could lose myself to this for an entire year without, and I don't even give a shit about football. That's how good it is. It was also an absolute joy to put the disc in for the first time, go straight in and jump immediately into an online game with someone with no lag, and what a joy. It shouldn't be a joy, but it was only because I'm comparing it to Pro Evolution, which, as we've just said, is a ridiculous joke that people pay £40 for a game and can get it home, and it's still a week after launch and it's still not working. Ludicrous.
That does sound like a joy. Just to be able to do that, it feels like online doesn't work anymore because also I had problems with GTA.
Right.
Basically I've only really been playing GTA and Pro Evo in the last week, and online's just been a nightmare in both. So yeah, that does sound nice.
It was nice, but I mean, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, normal. But then Pro Evo is Pro Evo. FIFA 14. It's not as good looking as Pro Evo is at the moment. The fact that it's online as well. It's really good. I think it's better than FIFA 13, and I have friends that like Pro Evo, and I have friends who like FIFA, and I'm happy to switch between the two for another year because they're both that good. But FIFA 14, I didn't expect to like it as much as I have done, but it's going to be a keeper.
Yeah, I definitely really like it as well. So yeah, like you said, you're a winner either way.
Yeah, it's weird how I thought after the demo that it was really hard to get long through balls through, and it was my most prominent observation about the demo. Playing them, you lob through balls go through even easier than they did in 13.
Oh, right.
Which one? So, I mean, how it still remained entertaining despite one of the most annoying things from 13 progressing through to 14, I don't know, but we'll see. I really am fucking enjoying it anyway.
I do kind of want to get hold of the final version as well to do what you do. Switch between the two, as and when. Especially if Pro Evo never works online.
Yeah, which is not impossible.
Yeah, all right, so if those are our number 2s, then our number 1s must be Grand Theft Auto 5.
Correct, yeah.
So, how far have you got?
Roughly 20 hours, maybe?
Right.
What about you?
Probably a little bit more than that. Probably pushing towards the 30 mark now, I'd say.
No, really?
Yeah.
Are you just not doing anything? Because I checked your stats and ours are very similar.
I don't do the missions most of the time. I just fuck about. But not doing rampages. I think I've only done about 5 rampages the whole time I've been playing it. Just driving around, looking for stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I just get completely captivated by little adventures that I just decide to go on, and they just turn into something brilliant almost every single time. I have also been doing a lot of side missions as opposed to main missions. So just really kind of losing myself in the world completely. But it's obviously amazing. I don't think that even needs to be said at this point. But just to quickly touch on the online issue that I had, I don't know if anyone else was having the problem. I looked online, it seemed people were. The Snapmatic, the photo service, it just wasn't working for me. So you'd take a photo and then it would load for ages trying to upload it to the internet, and then just wouldn't work. And that was very frustrating because I kept taking great photos and they just disappear because I don't save them locally. They just disappear. So that was frustrating. But today it was working, so I started taking some snaps, which is good. And there's so much to talk about in this game. What's been happening in your GTA world?
I've been doing a lot of that as well. I have been pissing around quite a bit. I did something brilliant at the weekend, though. I watched my girlfriend play it for about 5 hours and just laughed my head off because it was kind of like, when Dave, a couple of weeks ago when he was on, said that he watched a young relative play Modern Warfare, and they ignored all of the goals. They were just trying to make their own fun out of their own sort of scenarios. Yeah, and it was kind of like that. I mean, she started the story, and the first thing that happened, she'd been playing the game for about 90 seconds, and she started saying, "I want to kill these guys." I'm like, "No, they're your accomplices." And she was like, but I want all of the money, and I'm like, "Oh fucking hell!" All right, I didn't expect that. But after she got outside of the intro, she just started doing things that were just so entertaining. She was playing GTA the way I used to play it before I'd played too many sandboxes to give a shit about that sort of stuff. So she'd see something in the distance, like she saw this crane, and she drove all the way over there and then climbed all the way up, and then she jumped off the top and committed suicide. And then she saw a fun fair and she nicked a golf cart, went all the way down to the fun fair. There's all those rides work. I didn't realise that. So that was really interesting. She got savaged by a mountain lion running up into the mountains. Yeah. She walked up the river to the dam, and it looked like it was impossible to get around to get on top of it, but she figured out a way to, she was just finding problems herself and then solving them. I was like, this is wicked. She managed to get. I said go to the cinema to watch that. Have you seen that animated film?
I still haven't. No, I still haven't.
Yeah, that's worth watching. But I said, get there for 10 o'clock, and she went there solely by jumping on the tops of trucks, passing trucks, and she managed to get there just by doing that. And I was like, fair play. I should be playing it like this. Also, there were a couple, because she was doing it while I was doing other things. Occasionally, I'd look over and I'd be like, look at that. I mean, because I often forget how staggeringly good it looks. There was one time in particular I turned and she was Franklin in a car reversing out of his garage, and there was a purple sunset and his face was illuminated by the light in the car, and I was like, that just looks like a photograph. I can't believe how realistic that looks. But yeah, I've also been pissing around a little bit. I've done a ridiculous. I'm sure you've done it too. It's basically, I assume, the centerpiece of the game because it was in all the advertising. It's the first time you all team up and pull a mission together. The one in the high-rise building.
Oh yeah.
Ludicrous how good that is.
Fantastic.
Ridiculous. I mean, I just wanted to. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just like, that's one of the best missions I've ever played. And it's just pure adrenaline, ridiculous, stupid brilliance, really. And highlights why I like the fact that there's 3 different characters. Have you done? I assume you've done the torture sequence.
Yeah, I have done the torture sequence. I know that's been we should have probably put a spoiler thing before that, but I know that's been the big point of contention. I haven't really read the main articles about it, but I couldn't help but notice lots of stuff. What do you think about it? Is it worth even talking about it?
I suppose so. Well, it's worth talking about, but I don't know. I mean, it didn't bother. I did grimace a couple of times. Like, that's pretty rough, but I didn't have the reaction to it that some people. And as a lot of people have said, it was just a really shit part of the game.
Yeah.
Just the gameplay was dull, and as unpleasant as it was. The one thing I kind of like about the fact that it was as grim as it was is that it still seemed quite raw in about 20 years' time, I think, because video games, although some people think otherwise, they're still largely unpoliced by the sort of arbiters of good taste, as it were. So there's actually one bit in the campaign just before, a little while before that, when Franklin and Michael go and they drive up to the hills for a conversation, and they have the most cliched conversation. I don't mean that the dialogue's, I just mean the whole point is that conversation is cliched. It's Michael telling Franklin about who Trevor is, and then Franklin just says, well, I mean, we'll just fucking kill him. And he's like, you can't kill him, he's basically hell on 2 legs. I've seen that conversation take place. You don't fuck with this guy, I know him, don't even try and think, the description of the volatile psychopath. I've seen that in so many films. But the fact that this goes into unexpected areas, kind of, because in those movies, those people who are so bad, they're never that bad because there are certain rules that they feel they have to adhere to, and they don't want to upset people, and they don't want them to be too bad, so you don't get. There's all those. Yeah. Movies in that sense are really fucking boring because they don't go over the line. Whereas this, the fact that it kind of went over the line a little bit makes you. I don't know. It is unexpected. It was Rockstar. I think there's a certain petulance involved, and when I was playing that sequence, I thought this is just them doing something for the fuck of it, and that was kind of set in stone afterwards. Because when I was doing the torture bit, I just thought, how many times have I read articles by got a whole wealth of people who have. It's basically common knowledge amongst all human beings in the developed world that torture is a useless tool for getting information out of somebody. Completely useless because people buckle instantaneously. And after you've done that mission, Trevor says that. He's like, torture's. It's like that was like the icing on the cake. That was Rockstar saying, we're just fucking around. We're just doing it to try and wind people up. That's how I took it anyway. Did it sort of rock you at all?
I found it quite unpleasant, especially the first couple that you did. I was like, damn, this is quite strong. Then I thought the actual mission itself, because it cuts between that and stuff you do with Michael, wasn't great. And then I was like fumbling around trying to see if they were making a point, and I kind of thought that the heavy-handed point about the way the US government acts and whatnot, fair enough, and also some sort of comment about perhaps what you're doing in the rest of the game, and now it's being now you actually have to do it to someone who's a little more real than just a random pedestrian in the street. But then again, I didn't even think it was worth that sort of discussion. You could lose yourself in it. I didn't think much more about it than what you said, and it definitely wasn't the most enjoyable part of the game, and nor the least enjoyable part of the game in terms of it's trying to make me feel bad, or for want of a better word. It didn't really get that much of a reaction out of me. By the time I hit the 4th torture, as it were, I was kind of done with it, and then you get a rating at the end, and I just thought that was a little bit crap. I don't know, I was just kind of glad that bit was over, but it didn't really unsettle me. I know the reaction's interesting, just because it's just very interesting how some people react to these sorts of things and write articles. And I've read plenty of articles about Grand Theft Auto this week. About it's strange that for a game, I said this last week, tonally, for all intents and purposes, this game is the same as it was in GTA 1. I mean, it's a bit more sophisticated in some ways. It goes down a few different routes in other ways, but it's still the hyper-violent cartoon world where you're basically free to do whatever you want, and morality is very twisted, and it's a satire on modern American culture. It's just the fucking same. But, you know, it was the 80s and 90s in Vice City and San Andreas, but it's not like GTA is a new thing. And a lot of the articles that are coming out and a lot of the things that I hear people talking about is as if it's never been like this before, or this is a brand new game and it needs to be like this and it needs to behave like this. And it's like, it's always fucking been like this. It's been like this since the 90s. So I'm not massively surprised by much that happens in the game, apart from how fucking fantastic it pretty much is consistently across the board. I get more frustrated with stuff like that, but then that's my fault for reading it and getting involved with it when I should just be spending time with the game.
Yeah. I've ended up reading a lot of articles as well, and it does still. I mean, there has been some really good stuff, but it still seems like a strange case to sort of some of the attention it's gotten. I think it's just because it's so popular. Especially, I will always think that the discussion about sexism in games is justified, and it should go on. I think some people take it a little too seriously and a little too vocal about it, which kind of sort of detracts from the discussion. But I still think Grand Theft Auto is a really weird property to get obsessed by, because it is set in this fucking world that, organised crime is not. Grand Theft Auto has always been in thrall to a million different influences, primarily films, but all sorts of influences, and they all are. It's a cliche in itself. The fact that these women are the way they are, the presentation of women is the way it is. I don't know. It seems like there are better targets to go after, because it's these genuinely shitty people. A game filled with unpleasantness that's sort of amped up to try and sort of it leaves me sort of mystified. But I think it is just because it's so goddamn popular, really.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that topic of conversation again. I texted you during the week about imagine if Breaking Bad was a game, because the stuff that program deals with for what is essentially the sake of entertainment, I think would cause some members of the games press in this country just have a fit if it was in a game, because they wouldn't be able to cope with it. But because it's in the language of television, it's a bit more. We're kind of used to that kind of thing going on, and it's also like incredibly well written. So there's that as well. But there's some stuff, like there's a lot of hate towards Skylar in Breaking Bad from the internet, because they don't understand that. In my opinion, I read all that stuff and I go, oh, those people just don't understand the program. They're not intelligent enough. I don't really think about it any more than that. And I'm not going to make the same aspersions about people who said stuff about GTA, because I think GTA is a stronger case for potential sexism than anything in Breaking Bad, obviously. Yeah. But certainly my take, and this is like not me trying to think or analyse or interpret or be academic in any way, but Michael's wife, right? I've heard her called a nag, this, classic misogynist character, and I just thought, this fucking poor woman is got an absolute schmuck for a husband who cheated on her first many times a long time ago, and she's nagging and moaning. Who can fucking blame her? Yeah. I didn't say, I didn't think she was a great, strong, empowering female character. I didn't think she was just a throwaway nagging wife either. I just thought, well, no wonder she's like this. It was more like a reflection of him, and the game was about, his story is about him, and that was just like the mirror image of him and how dreadful he is. If you need to go that far, I always bring it back to the fact that it is quite cartoony as well. So it doesn't feel like it's trying to be something that it's not. Like it is a cartoon, and if you start taking it as not that, and I'm not saying because it is a cartoon it doesn't need to be scrutinised at all, but if you start taking it as something that it's never purported to be, then you're only going to be dissatisfied with the results of what you look for.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, because it is so amped up and ridiculous that's why it does seem like a curious target to me. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not like it should be ignored. Did you read that article about? It was written by one of the writers. I think there's more than one of Borderlands 2, about how he'd sort of given all these characters a sexual history, and some of them were gay, some of them were lesbian, and all this stuff. And he said that the idea of not dealing with it directly. So I mean, there's a lot of talk about how people wish, or why isn't there a female protagonist in Grand Theft Auto 5? And people have said it's the story they wanted to tell. It's a very, people have argued about that, but the Borderlands writer, I'm sorry, I completely forgot his name, but he said that we shouldn't be we should just be trying to perpetrate, mix all these things together, so that it's our job as writers, he said, to present, anything that anybody might be potentially prejudiced about, to just force it upon them. It's not our job to say, oh, well, this is a story about guys, and this is a story about this, and this is a story about this. Let's just not put women in there, or let's not put gays in this and that. He said just put them in, because it's our job to try and sort of quash any kind of prejudice. And I kind of agree with that, at the same time as thinking that, yeah, Grand Theft Auto is such a weird case, because I think it would be kind of dishonest if they had like a female protagonist. I mean, I think they could make it work, but it's not really Grand Theft Auto, if you know what I mean. I don't want to sound like one of those dicks who's like, oh, this is our Grand Theft Auto and we don't want any fucking women in it. I don't think it would. I don't know if it'd be right for it, and they're not allowed to say that as justification. I don't know. It's a fucking mess, this whole conversation. The only thing that bothers me the most about this whole conversation, I think too much onus is put on the fucking army of shitheads that come out to, because I think whenever there's a talk of sexism in games, whatever the discussion is, and these fucking army of shitheads come out and start telling women to make sandwiches and like, fucking, I want my game, and women, all of that crap. Statistically, because there's so many of these fucking scumbags, we all must know someone, and if we don't know someone who's one of them, we know someone who knows someone. But they're in hiding. Did you ever see that Richard Bacon documentary when he tracked down his stalker?
No, I think I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, he got harassed for I think it was years, him and his wife. Horrendous. I'm pretty sure death threats were involved. I'm pretty sure sexual sort of stuff was, rape threats and stuff on his wife. It was horrendous. And when he tracked him down at the end of the programme, it was his best friend's teenage son who broke into tears instantly when he got found out. He was just a little boy, basically. Right. And I think this is what we're dealing with. It's just little... I mean, because if you look for fucking racism on the internet, that outdoes sexism every single day of the week. It's just petulant little shits trying to sort of get some attention. And when there are opinion pieces talking about it, like there's this army of genuinely poisonous and hateful people, I think it's kind of negative to perpetrate that as well. Just because I'm sure they're just fucking stupid little twats who are just... Give a child a mask and he will cause havoc. And I think that's what they're doing. And it's kind of... I don't think we should legitimise those twats by sort of taking them so seriously.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, in some ways, and this might be a bit of a stretch, but it's an equivalent argument. It's not an equivalent argument. I can't think of the right word. But, when they talk about, not romanticising and sort of anti-heroising the mass murderers by making them the focal point of the news, it's a stretch, right? But don't intellectualize something that has no intellect. It is just fuckwittery. It's always been there, as far as I can tell. It's not a new concept. Ever since the internet has been around, I've been on forums since I was 14 years old myself, and people spoke like that then, and that was 16, 17 years ago. Unfortunately, it's a lot easier to make your voice heard now because of comment threads and all this sort of stuff. But I've always been at the process of just why would you ever pay attention to someone like that?
That's what I mean. I don't think they should be ignored, but at the same time, the fact that they're being, those comments are being taken as, where are these faces? That you don't have faces coming through. I think it's so negative to sort of just perpetrate this belief that there are these fucking hateful scumbags, and I think, of course, there are people like that.
Yeah,
but
of course.
There are so many of these dickheads, and they always get a reaction. And I was a little shit when I was a child. I really was truly a petulant little bastard. Nothing used to please me more than winding people up. So there's a very good chance I could be one of these fucking scumbags. And I'd like to think I wasn't genuinely a bad person. I just liked fucking getting reactions out of people. Yeah. So it is kind of... I mean, there was a really good piece in The Guardian, Helen Lewis, is it? I think... Is that her name? I always forget her name. But yeah, she wrote a really nice piece in The Guardian about how she thought that Grand Theft Auto was misogynist, but she still liked it anyway. And the comments thread, needless to say, took a few seconds to go to shit. But if you type the URL into Twitter, as I did, you just see people sharing, go to the comments, look at these fucking... And I'm just like, that. One comment in particular, what did he say? He said, oh yeah, look, this proves that all fucking gamers are scumbags. I'm like, the article proves that all gamers are not scumbags. So taking the shitheads underneath over what the article's about, it's just, they overrule everything. I'm not one of those people. This is not a coming out. I'm not about to come out of the closet as one of those shitheads. But it's just that everything that they say is louder and sort of takes hold of everything. And we're lumped in with them as people who play games. And you can't win. There's no room for clear discussion because everyone who sort of wants to have a discussion about sexism is automatically on the defensive because they think that they're dealing with people like that when I don't think the majority... it's a fucking mess. I hate talking about it. I hate hearing about it. I'm sure people have already turned off this podcast because we're fucking talking nonsense about it. But anyway, it's all bollocks. Grand Theft Auto 5 is pretty good.
It's fucking fantastic. A buddy of mine, the gym, he got the game on Sunday. I spoke to him yesterday, being Tuesday, and he was like, the story's too short, I finished it. And I was like, what? How the fuck did you do that? I mean, he doesn't have a job, he's just a kid. But he only got it on Sunday. I don't know how the fuck he did that. But, it's not too short for me. I think I'm about 40% in.
I think I might be around the same amount in terms of the story. But you've got to savour the flavour. Why would you rush it?
Exactly. I've just done the second heist. That's where I am. I'm happy with where I am. I don't want to go near the next one for ages.
The next Grand Theft Auto?
No, the next heist.
Oh, right. I was going to say, I was like, what? The Saints Row sort of... you've done a couple of the drug sequences.
Yes.
Okay, very Saints Row.
Yes. Very Saints Row.
It is simultaneously weird and nice to know that they must be looking at Saints Row because there are a couple of bits that were clearly like that looks like it's literally out of Saints Row. There are still trial and error bullshit bits where I feel like missions are structured in a way that you have to keep failing them to, with regards to finding specific routes. It might just be me being a div, but I keep getting these missions where I feel like I'm in a certain position and there are two ways out and I have to try both and they're both wrong and I have to find another way out and then that's the correct way. But I suppose Grand Theft Auto has always been like that. One thing I don't like is that missions where you have to escape the police with a time limit, they're still irritating as all hell. That's only happened a couple of times so far, but when there's the surveillance and then you nick a car and then they're like, the police are on you and you have to get somewhere before the time runs out, but also lose the police first. Drive me mental. I don't think they worked in any Grand Theft Auto, so the fact they're still here is really irritating. It's a real joy. Every time I pick up the pad, I'm glowing with anticipation and excitement. That's a
great way of putting it. I am exactly. It's because especially as you get that, it's a long load at the beginning, isn't it? And then there's no fucking loading in the whole game, which is utterly insane. Apart from that load at the beginning, but I do get that feeling. It's like, what's going to happen?
It's a hell of a game. I'm sure it would be my number one next week again because
it probably will be mine, although I am going to Eurogamer for a couple of days, so I will be checking out some stuff there, definitely.
Good shit.
What was I going to say? What's your favourite tune so far? That's what I was going to end it on Grand Theft Auto. What's your favourite song on the radio?
Have I got a favourite? Songs have gone on like yes, but I can't even remember what they were. I know one song I don't like, which just annoyed the piss out of me, was this very, very low tempo hip hop song. Slow down. You heard that?
I think I had to turn that one off.
Yeah, fucking irritating as hell.
Yeah.
There was a song that I heard that I was like, yes, damn right, but I can't remember what it was. Sorry, what's yours?
My Girl Likes to Party All the Time by Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
How did I not?
You know the way that my girl likes to party all the time. I had no idea that song was by Eddie Murphy.
I didn't. Is it an old song?
Yeah, it's from the 80s. You know, it goes, my girl likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. You know that tune?
How's it go?
It's on one of the. It's like on the. I'm not singing it again. It's on the disco station.
I don't know. To be honest, I kind of zone out when I'm in the car because I'm always thinking about what's happening next.
Oh, okay. I got in a car. I just did the thing where you bring up the radio wheel, which is a really nice feature, and then saw that part all the time. I was like, that's not that fucking shitty song, is it? And it said Eddie Murphy, and I was like, oh, it must be a different Eddie Murphy. So I put it on, and it started to rain. And I just drove up the East Coast really slowly to this song in the dark with the thunderstorm going on. It was quite a moment, and then I looked it up, and it was actually the real Eddie Murphy. So who knew?
Yeah, I don't quite understand how I don't know that Eddie Murphy made music. That's weird. But I'll listen.
I think it's just one song.
Oh well. But and yet you know it, so it must have done well.
I know the song. I've heard the song many times, but I just had no idea it was by Eddie Murphy.
So if it was successful, why did he only do one? Weird. Oh, he was making movies. Who knows? I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to listen the next time it comes on the radio.
Just YouTube Eddie Murphy Party All the Time. Surely you've heard that song before.
Maybe I have, but not your rendition didn't do it justice, I'm sure. My
rendition was all right, mate.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, but I want to see, maybe there's got to have a cracking video, I'm sure.
Yeah, surely.
Well, I'll have a look. Genuine.
Red jumpsuit.
Here's hoping. Okay, well, all right, that's us done. Thank you very much for listening. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the whole shebang. Slow down.
If you're hearing this Friday morning, come down to the Prince of Wales near the Earl's Court, Neil Earl's Court, if you're going to Eurogamer, to come and say hello to me, say hello to the Joypod boys, say hello to Kane and Rinse guys, Midnight Resistance. Loads of people are going to be there, so yeah, come and say hello and let's have a drink.
Well said. All right, well, yeah, thanks again. See you next week, maybe.
Peace.
Tell 'em, slow down. No, you can't catch me. I move too fast on the gas, don't chase me. Slow down. Slow down.
My girl likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time.
Tune.